If the material is perfectly plastic, use only yield stress and call it Y. If the material is a strain hardening, then at any given value of strain, find the stress, call it YF, the flow stress, and use it. If a particular value of strain is not known, then the average flow stress Y bar should be used. And Y bar, you had the equation earlier, K epsilon 1 N upon N plus 1, where N and K are the hardening exponent of the material, and epsilon 1 is the known strain at any given value. So if the particular value of a strain is not known, take the average stress. If plane strain condition is applicable, this is important. If plane strain condition is applicable, equivalent stress is used. You have the Y bar multiplied by 2 upon root 3. You get the plane strain Y bar. Plane strain Y bar. So 2 upon root 3 is 1.1547, 1.155, call it whatever. So this could be Y bar, this could be YF, this could be whatever. Do you understand? That if plane strain is applicable, it says in the problem that plane strain conditions are applicable, then whether it is the Y, it is the YF, it is the Y bar, use the equivalent one, this, right, with a prime. So it could be Y prime, it could be Y dash prime, whatever condition it is. And this, so there is, I don't know if in any of the courses you have gone through these equation, von Mises strain and conditions like that and so forth. Excuse me, some of that we definitely cover in the course on machine design. We know that failure theories and so forth. But equivalent strain, that you see the problem is actually a 3D problem, but we are using a 2D simplification of the problem. So the original stress has to be multiplied by a factor to account for it, right? So if there is a very unusual condition of perfectly plastic material, then in your equations use Y. If it is a routine standard material which is a strain hardening, use YF. If you have to use an average flow stress, then use Y bar. And in any of these conditions, whether it is Y or YF or Y bar, if it is given that plane strain conditions are applicable, then use dash, Y dash, YF dash, Y bar dash, whatever. So if it is YF, multiplied by 2 by root 3. If it is Y bar, multiplied by 2 by root 3, and so on, right? So this I kept on telling you in the previous few slides, that this dash, that this Y dash, and so on, where is it used, we will tell you. So now, right, if you understand it very clearly, very good. Otherwise, after some time, come back to this video slide again. Look at it once again. Try to really understand it. I keep on telling you guys in a lot of different courses with me that I have a big problem sometimes with very brilliant students also. Give them all the equations, give them all the problems, they will solve it, they know how to do it. Then ask them that in the real engineering world, what does your solution mean? If you are a design engineer, if you are a manufacturing engineer, if you are a quality control engineer, now you have used all your equations and this and that, and now these are the results. So what are you going to do in your actual condition? And then we get stuck. So that is why I keep on telling you from the beginning that please try to understand the real mechanics, the real physics of the problem, not just the equation. The equation is there, and it is very important to understand the equation, and it is very important to understand how this equation will be used to solve the problem. But once you have done that, then what do you infer? What do you understand by the end results of the equations? So these type of things, what is perfectly plastic material? What is linear strain hardening material? What is a normal strain hardening material? Are we doing it at room temperature? Do we have to use the equation for higher temperature? Are we using an average stress? right? Can the problem be solved usefully well, more accurately, quite accurately, by doing a plane strain assumption, which means converting a 3D problem into a 2D problem? These are very, very fundamental. So please, right, the few pages before, when we were doing the different types of mathematical equations and so on, and now this page, really take it to heart, because not in forging, in extrusion, in rolling, in any of these, they will be very, very important. Now to your favorite activity, right? So again, please take some blank pages, read only the problem, don't go further into my lecture notes, don't go further into my video lecture. Let me remind you, whenever any problem is given in any course, not here, in any course, first thing is to read it carefully. Please read it carefully, give it 1 extra minute. Because if you understand something wrong in quickly reading it and you find your error after half an hour, then all that half an hour is gone. You have to redo it. So take that 1 extra minute or 2 extra minutes in reading the problem carefully. That is one thing. Second, convert all these statements into data. This is known, this is known, this is known, this is unknown. Read the problem, write down the knowns and unknowns. Then based on the knowns and unknowns, decide which equations you will use and then start solving the problem. Don't do it without that. So what is the problem? A cylindrical specimen made of annealed 4135 steel has a diameter of 15.24 centimeter and is 10.16 centimeter high. It is upset, open forged at room temperature, cold working, by open die forging with flat dies to a height of 5.08 centimeter. Assuming that the coefficient of friction is 0.2, calculate the upsetting force required at the end of the stroke. Use the average pressure formula. So please read this problem carefully, take down the data. You can go back and see any of the equations and so on, but solve it, resolve it, make sure that there is no error in your solution, and only then look at the solution and compare. So if you are listening to me now, it means you have already solved it. So what is the data? The material is given. Annealed 4135 steel material is given. So in some table in the book, values of this material will be given for N, K and so on. Diameter of 15.25, this is 224 centimeter, this is the original diameter. Height 10.16, this is the original height, right? So D0, H0, call it whatever, cold working. Final height 5.08, call it H1, call it HF, whatever you like. Mu is 0.2 and they want to find the upsetting force, right? They want to find the upsetting force. So I have now shown average pressure force required at the end of the stroke. Remember, end of the stroke, this is clearly written. So the location is the final location, end of the stroke, okay? So therefore we need the final value of R and H. The final value, we are calling it not R, right? R was for a cylindrical piece. Was it a cylindrical piece? We will see, right? Now if it is a cylinder, don't use plane strain, right? So it is very critical. If it is a cylindrical piece, dia was given, right? Dia was given. So it is a cylindrical piece. So do not use the equation of plane strain. Plane strain was for rectangular section. So it is very important. Upsetting force at the end of the stroke to be found. A strain should be known, so use YF, not Y bar. Y bar is average stress. So do not use Y bar, use YF equation, right? So I am writing these points. If you really understand it for this one problem with an open mind, then it is important, right? So end of a stroke means the value of the radius and the value of the height should be the final radius and the final height, right? And because it is a cylindrical piece, therefore do not use the equation for plane strain which was for rectangular. and because they are saying end of a stroke, so because the location is known, so therefore we can find exact strain at that location. So use YF, do not use Y bar. Y is used only when the exact location is not known, right? So with that, then we go forward. Now these are the equations. I have just summarized all the equations here. So which equation are we going to use? Tell me. This pressure, no. This pressure, maybe. This is average pressure. But this is plane strain, so no. Pressure in axisymmetric means cylindrical. Average pressure in axisymmetric, yes. Right? So this is the equation. This is a sticking condition, this is a sticking condition, no. So the only equation is this equation. Average pressure for non-plane strain. Axisymmetric means cylindrical piece. So this is the equation. P average is Y 1 plus 2 mu R upon 3H. Okay. This Y is the YF. This Y is the YF that you will find from the equation. Okay. This R is the final radius. Mu will be given in the problem. It is given. This H is the final height. Right. So is the final height given? Yes, it is given. Is mu given? Yes, it is given. Is Y given? No. We have to go to a table. Is R given? Original dia is given, but final dia is not given, so you have to find it. So R you have to find and Y you have to find. Now these are the equations. I have just summarized all the equations here. So which equation are we going to use? Tell me. This pressure, no. This pressure, maybe. This is average pressure. But this is plane strain, so no. Pressure in axisymmetric means cylindrical. Average pressure in axisymmetric, yes. Right? So this is the equation. This is a sticking condition, this is a sticking condition, no. So the only equation is this equation. Average pressure for non-plane strain. Axisymmetric means cylindrical piece. So this is the equation. P average is Y 1 plus 2 mu R upon 3H. Okay. This Y is the YF. This Y is the YF that you will find from the equation. Okay. This R is the final radius. Mu will be given in the problem. It is given. This H is the final height. Right. So is the final height given? Yes, it is given. Is mu given? Yes, it is given. Is Y given? No. We have to go to a table. Is R given? Original dia is given, but final dia is not given, so you have to find it. So R you have to find and Y you have to find.